This is the World Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a question, of course, a lot of people in the world have, particularly Americans have, which of course relates to the 2024 presidential election. And what the question, obviously, that's going to come up for the 2024 election, since it's one of the candidates, is will Nikki Haley actually um, become president of the United States? And just in general, does she have a good chance of winning? For this video, I'll explain if she does or she doesn't. So let's get started. So when it comes to the question of will Nikki Haley be able to become the next president of the United States, the simple answer is simply put it, no. As the thing about Nikki Haley, there's nothing about Nikki Haley that comes off in any way, shape, or form as really something not only distinct from some of the other people she's working with, or in other words, she's up against, whatever. You get the point. There's nothing about her that makes her stand out. And the truth of the matter is that Nikki Haley, just in general, doesn't have a very good track record for that matter. The thing about Nikki Haley is that Nikki Haley is just not someone who is strong. She's just, to answer your question, she's what you would refer to as someone as a flip flopper. She says one thing and then she says something else. And she says this and then she says something else. The thing about her, she has clearly shown she does not have the strength to be a good leader at all. Even aside from, of course, what people might interpret as a bias because I'm a left wing person, the truth of the matter, Nikki Haley does not have the ability, even from seeing it from an outsider perspective, and even from if a right winger see it, she does not have the perspective of being someone who can truly be a good leader, and in general, be someone who even gets elected as president of the United States. Because the thing about her is she's just a weak person. She and the thing about her and of course the fact, aside from just mentioning the fact that she's weak, is that is that for people who are flip floppers, people do not vote or in just in general support, for that matter, flip floppers. Because the thing about flip flopper, as you can clearly see who she was at one point, how at one point you can clearly tell she tried to come off, of course, even though she's of Indian descent, she tried to come off as like the stereotypical white, compassionate female. Besides, she pretty much kind of makes herself look white anyway. But aside from that, she tried to come off at one point as like the strong, as like the sympathetic, white, compassionate female who, of course, sympathized with the black struggle at one point. At one point, she used to do all these presidential things where she always complained about a Confederate flag, and she said the Confederate flag is a symbol of evil, and blah 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 blah. Try to come off as someone who's sympathetic and this and that. Then later on in a few years, she flipped off on that and did stuff that pretty much just showed who her allegiance is to, which of course is the primarily, you know, white conservative men. In all honesty, particularly white conservative men. And some of the things she said before, she did things that are in the complete opposite direction of that. So that's what she did. In all honesty, that's what she did. In all honesty, though, and not even a stat, she foresaw some policies. One woman, she was very strongly criticizing Trump. Then she went the other direction and was saying that she's very supportive of Trump and many other things. Actually, maybe 10 or even more things she has done that for. She's not someone who has strength and has courage, and people respect that. If people don't respect you, they're not going to vote for you. Not to mention, she obviously, if you do that, then who's going to want to vote for you? Okay, because one side of people hate you because you were once on their side, now you're not on their side, and the other side hate you because you said this and said that. So who exactly is going to be as a strong supporter of you? It's just simply, to answer your question, she's just simply someone that's just simply there to fill up space. she's not going to be the next president of the United States. She might be winning in certain, states or whatnot, blah, 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 blah. But it's all just hype in the end of the day. The truth of the matter is, she just doesn't have it in her. And obviously, most of the people who a lot of the people who are voting in this election, all of, and just in general, Americans, a lot of their issues pretty much resonate with the same basic arguments. Illegal immigration to the United States is one. The other one, of course, secondly, to add to that, is, of course, things particularly relating to inflation. And another one, obviously, that, of course, you hear about all the time, so much it's ridiculous, is wokeism. And of course, people are going to be thinking, well, we're going to vote for Trump, of course, from a nostalgic lens, because, of course, a lot of things we have now were not there, or at least not as bad under Trump, with these three things only being some of the issues, but even still, there's a lot of things that weren't there before when Trump was elected, and some things were still there, but they weren't as bad, so obviously people are obviously gonna vote for Trump because Trump is the type of person who comes off as someone who's just gonna make things the way it once was, and he's a strong person. I'm not really all the craziest about him, but the truth of the matter is, he, at least you can acknowledge, is a strong person. If he says so, he's also not gonna like something, he's gonna say it and he's gonna stick with it. He's not like Nikki Haley, who flip flops on one thing and says another thing and another thing and another thing and can't make up her freaking mind, and says one thing, another thing, and another thing, and another thing, and just keeps on, and she just can't back things up at all, for that matter. She's just weak. So to answer your question, she is not going to win the election. And most people, I think, just in general, have Trump in mind, who are conservative in the first place, have Trump in mind. So it's just like, who are we fighting against? Who's fighting? Who exactly is fighting against him? Everyone just wants Trump. The most they did at one point was Ron DeSantis, who came off as, maybe a more, more like a more, for Americans who are more concerned about their image, a more tamer version of Trump. But the thing about him is he lost a lot of respect from people. Not only did he push a lot of this unnecessary stuff about changing history and blah, 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 blah crap, he didn't have anything that made him stand out. He's just a freaking hothead. He gets angry over every little thing, and nothing about him makes him stand out from compared to Trump. So people just said, you know what, that didn't work, so let's not forget about him. So it's pretty much just down to Trump. In all honesty, you have that other Indian guy, Vivek something, but at the end of the day, he might have a serious spot. But in the end of the day, people just want Trump. People want something that's going to go like, okay, we know he's going to give us what we want. Okay, so obviously people are going to stick with him. Who knows? Maybe Vivek could win in some way, shape, or form. You never know. But Nikki Haley definitely doesn't have it in her, and she has nothing that really makes her stand out and makes people really like her and go like, yes, I want to vote for this person. You know what I mean? There's nothing about her that stands out. It's just more same crap as before. She's pretty much kind of, you can even say, like a Republican Hillary Clinton, like just a bunch of corruption charges and this and that, and just nothing that really makes her relatable to the everyday person. Trump not either, but Trump at least knows how to cover it up and make it seem like he's more relatable and speaks in a way that's relatable to everyday people. What does she have? One moment she tries to come off as innocent in some way, or this and that, and next moment she tries to come off another way. She doesn't have it in her, and that's one thing I can say for certain. So she's definitely not going to win. So to end this story off, all I can say is that whoever is going to win the 2024 election, most likely it's probably going to be Trump or something like that. It's definitely not going to be her. She doesn't have anything that makes her stand out or makes people really want to go like, I want to vote for this person so much. So whatever the case of that matter is, that's the truth. She's not going to get elected, and that's all I have to say. So anyway, this is my video. If you like videos like this, remember to thumbs this up and hit the subscribe button. And that's all I have to say. say and simply put it, later.